Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts about the 40k universe. I am your host Gersh1 and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue with part 2 of the Soul Drinkers chapter video. If you guys have not checked out part 1, please jump on over to the channel and check out part 1 or click on the link above. You need to listen to part 1 in order to kind of understand what's going to happen in part 2. We're jumping into a part of the story of the Soul Drinkers that you need to listen to part 1 for. Again, if you guys have any suggestions for topics or Spacemarine chapters that you guys would like us to create a video for, please comment down below and put suggestion followed by the topic or chapter that you guys want us to create a video for. Now, another thing too, spoiler warning, because the information that we're going to give you spoils the storyline of, I believe it's called The Soul Drinkers Redemption or Annihilation. I can't really remember which book it is. But spoiler warning if you are planning to read those books or if you're reading them right now. Either way, let's get into 40 facts about the Soul Drinkers. The captured Soul Drinkers were brought aboard the ancient and massive starship Phalanx, the mobile fortress monastery of the Imperial Fists. The Imperial Fists intended to prosecute their brother chapter for their apostasy. Though most heretics would never have been granted such an honor, the former Scions of Dorn, the Soul Drinkers, would have their day in court, for the Imperial Fists were a chapter of honor. To them, a trial was more than a mere formality. It was their intention to see every correct procedure and tradition adhered to, so that no man would dare say that they did not give the Soul Drinkers every chance to redeem themselves. The Fists had collected evidence of the Soul Drinkers' deeds, including many that had pitted them against the forces of the Imperium, from which the Soul Drinkers had rebelled. When the Soul Drinkers were first brought on board, they recovered a copy of the Soul Drinkers' so-called Catechism Martial. They acquired this tome from one of the members of Chaplain Ictinos' flock, upon the confiscation of his power armor, forcing him to give up the book along with the secrets it contained. These members of Ictinos' flock were the Soul Drinkers whose officers had died in the gradual erosion of the chapter's strength, and who had turned to Chaplain Ictinos for leadership. The treacheries and revelations revealed within the pages of the Catechism Martial made the Imperial Fists take an interest in interrogating Ictinos' Astartes themselves. During the interrogation of Brother Kion by the Imperial Fists, the Soul Drinker revealed the chapter's secret. It was discovered that Dyathos, the legendary philosopher-soldier and author of the Catechism Martial, still lived, despite evidence that he had died over 6 millennia before. Danathos had been interned within the adamantium sarcophagus of a mighty dreadnought, and hidden within a secret tomb on the world of Celica. This tomb was built with a series of ingenious traps put into place, ensuring that none except the Astarte would have the skills to discover the secrets contained within. When Danathos' crypt was discovered by a lone Imperial Fist scout marine, the resurrected Soul Drinker came willing and let himself be brought on board the Phalanx to face his fate alongside his fellow battle brothers. A conclave of Space Marines was formed to listen to the presented evidence and to pass judgment on the renegade chapter. This conclave was composed from various Imperial Fist successor chapters, composing of the Crimson Fists, Howling Griffins, and the Iron Knights. The conclave was filled with other chapters with no connection to the Imperial Fists, such as the Doom Eagles, Silver Skulls, and the Angels Sanguinae. There was also a representative from the Inquisition, as well as small contingents of Battle Sisters of the Adeptus Sororitas and Tech Priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Brother Rhaenys, the former captain of the Crimson Fist Second Company, who had been dishonored by the Soul Drinkers, was appointed the Soul Drinkers' prosecutor. Rhaenys had given up his rank and petitioned his chapter master to walk the path of the warrior's pilgrimage, one who wandered the galaxy seeking redemption outside his chapter by looking for enemies worthy of killing him, so that he could seek redemption in death for failing. When Rhaenys heard that the Soul Drinkers had been captured and were to be tried at the Phalanx, he made haste for the Imperial Fist vessel and presented himself before the chapter master Vladimir Pugh and petitioned for the right to prosecute the Soul Drinkers so as to regain his honor. The loyal servants of the Imperium had gathered to listen to the evidence presented against the Soul Drinkers, while the Imperial Fist chapter master Vladimir Pugh presided as the Justice Lord of the court. During the trial, evidence was presented by both sides, both defending the Soul Drinker's actions as well as damning them. Multiple revelations were revealed during the course of the trial, including the fact that Dynethos still lived within the body of the Dreadnought that had been hidden within a tomb on Celica's surface. Sarpedon had not been aware of this tomb's existence or that there were any surviving Dreadnoughts from his chapter, as the last one had been believed to have been destroyed 6 millennia earlier. Serving as prosecutor, Rhaenys condemned the Soul Drinkers, implicitly implying that they had been corrupted for millennia while under the guidance of Dynethos. He charged that they had long been sworn to the service of the ruinous powers, and had intended to carry out some plot at the Dark God's behest, intended to damage the Imperium. During Rhaenys' presentation of the evidence against the chapter, Sarpedon finally realized Chaplain Icticos had been manipulating the Soul Drinkers chapter along the path of damnation in order to fulfill some unknown destiny foreseen by the last Dreadnought. Next, Commander Gethsmar of the Angels Sanguinae called into question the validity of the Soul Drinkers' claim of being the genetic sons of the Primarch Rogal Dorn. The Angels Sanguinae had captured a Soul Drinker Spacemarine and extracted his gene seed for medical study to determine whether or not his heresy was the result of corrupted genetics, and they were startled to learn that the Soul Drinkers' genetic legacy could not be traced back to the Imperial Fists. During the course of the trial, pilgrims of the Order of the Blinded Eye conspired to help the Soul Drinkers escape their bondage. They had been manipulated by Dynethos to help him achieve his mysterious objective. Not questioning their newfound freedom, the surviving Soul Drinkers made their last stand within the Phalanx Librarium. The forces of the Imperial Fist and their successor chapter brethren converged on the Soul Drinkers' position, and a vicious firefight ensued. The breakout of the Soul Drinkers from their holding cells was merely a distraction, as Dynethos used this diversion to carry out the final phase of his plan. His most loyal follower, Chaplain Icticos, kidnapped Captain Nicolo of the Iron Knights and brought him to his master. Using the blood of the battered Astarte, the genetic code of Rogal Dorn was the key to unlock an infamous warp gate, known as the Predator's Eye, that was actually hidden within the Imperial Fist Fortress Monastery. Unable to destroy it outright, the Primarch Rogal Dorn had sealed the warp gate nearly 10 millennia before, and vowed that one day, when the countless other threats had subsided, he and his chapter librarians and other champions would finally destroy the Predator's Eye. The warp gate had originally been located in the Kravamesh system within the Veiled region, until Dynethos had stolen it and hidden it within the confines of the Phalanx during the assault on Terra to topple the renegade High Lord Vandire at the end of the Age of Apostasy. From the newly opened warp gate emerged the various foul denizens of the Immaterium, including the master architect of the Soul Drinker's fate, a demon prince of Tzeentch named Abrax. Dynethos intended to use Abrax's power to travel the galaxy with the Phalanx as his personal chariot, spreading the power of chaos throughout the Emperor's realm. Now Abrax would be able to use the warp gate as a doorway into the Immaterium, from which would spill the legions of demons under his command. Dynethos wanted to fundamentally transform the Imperium, freeing his people from the shackles of oppression and fear, and installing himself as the new master of all mankind. Abrax was merely a tool to manipulate like everything else in the galaxy. In the meantime, Sarpedon had escaped his captors and reunited with his remaining battle brothers, leaving them behind to face a glorious death in the Librarium. Sarpedon sought out the whereabouts of Daithanos, but was stopped by Ictinos' flock. The small squadron of Soul Drinkers that were with Sarpedon were killed in a carefully executed ambush. Enraged, Sarpedon slew the entire flock, and then sought out to confront Ictinos, as the remaining Soul Drinkers valiantly defended themselves within the ruins of the Phalanx Librarium. They knew that it was only a matter of time before they were wiped out through attrition. At the height of the vicious battle, the encroaching forces of the Imperial Fists and their allies unexpectedly withdrew their forces, sensing that something was awry. The Soul Drinkers' captain, Luco, led the remainder of his battle brothers out of the Librarium. Monitoring the Imperial Fist Vox traffic, they soon discovered that Abrax was leading a massive demonic force that was assailing the Imperial Fist from within their own fortress monastery. They bravely presented themselves before the Imperial Fist chapter master Vladimir Bew, and begged him to give them the chance to fight and die by their side against a common enemy that threatened all of them. Reluctantly, the Imperial Fist agreed to the Soul Drinker's request to face the demons, and they understood that this was in itself a death sentence. In the meantime, Sarpedon discovered Ictinos and confronted him in a vicious hand-to-hand battle. Sarpedon was gravely wounded, but not before he managed to subdue the wayward chaplain. Using his innate psychic abilities, known as the Hell, Sarpedon brutally wrestled the information from Ictinos' mind concerning Deinothos' true intentions, and learned to his dismay that Deinothos had planned across the long millennia and how he had been an unwitting pawn in the ancient game. His task completed, Sarpedon took the mortally wounded chaplain, whose mind had been utterly shattered by his psychic assault, and launched him out an air duct into the void of space. He then made his way towards the main drive of the Phalanx to confront Deinothos. Deinothos confirmed Sarpedon's suspicions of what his grand scheme of the galaxy would entail. Deinothos believed that the Imperium was corrupt and that its people were damned. 6 millennia earlier, Deinothos had learned that the Imperium was a dark and savage place, a breeding ground for a desperation that gave the forces of chaos the chance to do their wickedness in the material universe. It was through suffering that the Imperium would be remade, great suffering on a scale beyond imagining by lesser minds, thanks to the plans crafted by him and executed by so many others that he manipulated across the bounds of space and time, including the Soul Drinkers, Sarpedon, and Abrax. The Phalanx would spread such suffering in its wake, and the Imperium would be remade stronger and more just, with Deinothos as the new ruler of the galaxy. And those were 40 facts about the Soul Drinkers. Thank you guys so much for suggesting this topic. I had to do the part 2 because this story is so awesome, and of course part 3 is going to explain what happens to this dreadnought and what happens to Sarpedon. So please subscribe to the channel to get part 3. Hopefully it comes out tomorrow. Again guys, if you guys have any more suggestions as far as Space Marine chapters or topics of the Warhammer 40k universe, please comment down below and let us know what you guys want to hear. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. That really helps out the channel. And if you guys want to help us out a little bit more, we have a Patreon page. Jump on over to Patreon. A simple $1 gives you some extra videos. Thank you guys so much for being subscribers, and I'll catch you tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.